Hey everyone, welcome to the Barrel Chat After Dark. This is what I used to do. I used to do
like a porn star.
Yeah, you
I
don't
feel
remember
like-
I did like a sultry voice? I feel like I did. Maybe fuck I didn't.
I don't think you did, but I don't know.
I felt like I did. I
It was
felt like
called-
we had some.
I feel it's like that music needs a hit, like doo doo doo.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go try and find some like kind of porn music.
So for those old school listener, y'all
who was a
old
Patreon.
people, that we used to be the Already Drunk podcast.
Already drunk. What did I call it? After Dark?
After Dark. I like
Well,
After Dark
I
better.
actually like After Dark. I mean, Already Drunk really was.
We have a really fun logo though because it's Hoppy, our
And he's
main guy, and he's
drunk.
hammered and his eyes are red and he's got his hat on crooked. And
I've been there a couple of times.
I
We've
do
been
like
there a
After
lot.
Dark, though. Yeah. No, After Dark works. So we're still here at Science Project. It's 10:30 at night, and we're going to drink a little bit more beer. And if you listen to the main show, Cody talked about Burial Brewing, and he talked about a beer that he had here. So we're going to drink that, too. And we're just going to shoot the shit. Just shoot the shit.
yeah, anything
that.
that comes to mind, y'all. Anything.
Love
Yeah,
that.
but we're going to stay away from a lot of stuff. So if you listen to the original version of Already Drunk, you know how wild and ridiculous that got. Not going to go down that path again because this is going to be on the main feed.
Because we got kids, y'all.
Well, yeah, there's that too. My kids just all of a sudden listen to the show in the middle of school.
Oh,
Why is Dad talking about butt sex?
oh.
Eating
What's your
ass.
dad do? He talks about beer
Yeah.
and butt stuff.
And now it's gotten weird. But yeah, so you went ahead and poured us technically 3 more beers and then.
well,
Right.
technically only 2.
Oh, okay.
Those 2 are like the same beer.
Oh,
over there.
gotcha.
So that's the Irish Red, the Michelob.
Yes.
That I'm really happy with how it came out. So again, you don't have to drink the whole pour. I know you guys had a long
Y'all's
drive
beer
home.
lines are cold as fuck.
What's nice about it going right? It goes right from cooler right into the beer tap, so it's
So
kind of nice.
So I meant to ask on the main show, but do your glasses sit in a chiller?
No,
For the
they're on the
pint
shelf.
glasses? Okay, so the first beer we got felt like the glasses were like frozen. That was how cold the beer was. It was crazy.
Yeah, which is probably good. We had an issue a couple weeks ago where I was actually earlier this week. I guess the condensers in those freezers, you have to turn settings from when it gets cold to warm and then warm to cold.
So that
And
they don't
so like
freeze.
we did something in the winter and we didn't do it in the summer, and then the other day it was hot outside and they're like, our cooler's sitting at like 56, and I was like, whoa what? Like,
these beers are pouring really foamy.
yeah, I'm like, you're ruining my beer. Stop. And so some guy had to come out and like, he was like literally climbed on top of kegs and he was in there for like 7 seconds. He's like, all right, you're good to go. You'll start chilling down now.
Is it like the flip fucking switch on a fan
It
where
prob-
it reverses
honestly,
the flow?
it honestly probably is exactly that, and we just are too dumb to know.
Counterclockwise versus clockwise, right?
You know, I didn't know that existed until about a year ago.
The more you know.
Well, now
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought about that even now. I just watched the guy go up there and mess around for a minute and then climb down off the kegs.
That's my guess, but
It probably is exactly that.
That's what I
And we
have to
probably
do.
paid so much money for him to flip that switch.
because in my bedroom, I'm like, man, it's hot as fuck in here.
Yeah.
Oh, what? The fan's blowing up. What the
Yeah.
fuck?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't know that was the thing. Random Google search was just like, oh yeah, flip that switch, and then it brings all the hot air up, and I'm like, oh, huh.
Science.
That makes so much more sense.
Just had never noticed it on a
I'm
fan
gonna have to
before.
do something different here. I bet you that's my issue with my bedroom right now.
Yeah, flip
It's
the
so
switch when
hot.
you get
It's so hot.
So if the fan's blowing air down at you, it's working right for the summer.
I'm gonna go figure that out tonight. My wife's gonna be for sure asleep when I get home tonight, and I'm gonna be
You're
like,
just climbing
what
on the bed.
fuck is going on?
Honey, I got to change the direction of
Rolling
the fan.
over my Great Danes, be like, move, dicks! Like,
Oh, you have how many Great Danes?
I have 2.
All right,
they're
are
my
they,
babies.
Like full Danes.
So one's a purebred Great Dane, and the other is a Great Dane Mastiff.
Okay.
So she's a big bitch.
I grew up with Danes. I had a Dane Dalmatian and I had a regular Dane.
I love that. The Dalmatian idea is fun.
The Dane Dalmatian had a tail that I swear to God was a weapon.
Oh, dude.
He'd fucking knock tables over with his tail. Just whap, and a
Dude,
whole
I have
table.
holes in my drywall because
Yeah.
of tails and asses of these dogs, man.
Not shocked.
It's
Our old coworker Dana had It's basically, I think it's a King Dane. I don't know if that's a special breed.
Okay.
But this motherfucker was like the head.
Yeah.
It could look you in the eyes, like, "Hey, yo, dog." I'm like, "Holy
Dude,
shit!"
they're big girls. Wait, they're both. So one was a rescue from Chicago. We got her as a puppy. Her mom and dad were surrendered. Like the husband of a breeder died and whatever. And the other one was one of my students' dogs. And so we had the one. We're like, let's introduce him and see how it goes. And it was like we could have sold tickets to like the Great Dane Derby because like they ran in this baseball field for like an hour. I'm like, I think it's gonna work. I think we'll take her home.
I think they'll wear each other out. We're
yeah,
good.
and so
So
dude, they're just.
do they have?
Bad.
Do they have like their own twin beds to sleep on?
They have a legitimate twin bed on my floor.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Most of them do.
A whole twin bed mattress. Yeah.
We had twin beds growing up too.
Actually, I had a bathroom. So long story short, it's really weird. But like when we bought this house where we live in, our vanity for our master bath was in our bedroom. It was like a little cutout.
Oh yeah, okay.
Vanity, and our bathroom was like I couldn't shower in the shower, and so I got this bright idea that I knew what I was doing. And I ripped everything out. Terrible idea. It cost me a lot of money. But we now have this really fancy like tiled stand-in shower.
That you did or somebody else did?
Oh, someone else did. Oh, for sure, someone else did. Yeah, and their bed blocks that door, so we've still never showered in this shower that we bought this house in 2018. So one day,
you put a bunch of money in it, and I don't shower.
A bunch of money. It was like all the money I got made last summer.
To be fair, it's in perfect shape for if you ever sell the house.
Dude, prime condition. Don't ever have to clean it.
Never used, no sex in it.
Nothing.
Good place to hide the dead bodies as well.
We had someone wash our house and our dogs for spring break when we were on vacation. And she's like, I thought it was just a closet door. And I was like, no, there's a badass bathroom behind there. We just don't use it. And she's like, that's very interesting.
She's like, I took a shower in there.
She's like, I should have showered in there. So
Matt's chugging away here.
That's about gone, dude. You need another pour out there?
I was going to say, A, I really like this beer. B, it's hot as fuck back in here again. So a little bit of both.
I turned on the fan, I thought.
Well, tell us a little bit about,
again,
the Michelob.
Yeah, so the owner of the company, Tim Ian, wanted an Irish Red for St. Patty's Day. Never brewed one in my life. And he came to me with an idea that he wanted to name it Michelob. And, sometimes you just have to let him have some. And so I brewed this, and that is it. It's Irish Red.
Did he have a reason why he wanted it named that way?
Because we're in Logansport.
It was one of those things that like, people came in and they'd be like, "Oh, that's kind of funny." Like, oh, it probably doesn't help that tank right there is currently on at 180 degrees at like 7 barrels of hot water.
It's warm.
That's probably also what radiating heat in there. I don't really know if there was a reason why he named it that way. He just thought it was funny, and we kind of rolled with it. So,
well, because my first thought was like Michelob's not an Irish Red.
No,
but the way you guys spelled it, who came up with the spelling?
That's him as well.
Okay,
yeah. The name is fully him.
I appreciate the spelling.
I just gave
it fits perfectly.
I mean, I think he might have just like thought of a name that, and it was like, oh, that works, and ran with it. So
that feels like the name that two people like just out and about shooting the shit like Michelob. That would be a great Irish beer name. And someone was like, "Oh fuck."
Well, that's what happened with
we're doing it.
Brad Weiser. From who makes Brad Weiser? I can't remember who makes it, but it's a local Indiana brewery that makes a light lager Brad Weiser instead of Budweiser, and the can is similar to the Budweiser.
Oh man,
the Budweiser can. When we first got here, we were sitting outside, and there was a dude wearing a Kid Rock shirt.
Yeah, love that. Typical.
Acting very Kid
Rockish. Shooting Bud Lights.
So, well, I was gonna ask, did you guys get a lot of like feedback or like shit and people talking shit about Bud Light and all that after the fact?
I mean, I didn't really hear. I'm only here 3 nights a week, so I can't really tell you that that's happened here. But I can tell you right now that from the time we bought this building, we started being here actively, and people were running wires for us or doing plumbing or doing anything in this building for us. The amount of times that if I had $5 for the amount of times someone asked if I was gonna have Busch Light here, you wouldn't be talking to me right now. I would be at home in a big old fat of cash. All right. And I was like, we're going to have something ish. My wife still says I should brew Shrub Light. And release it, and one day I might get drunk enough to do that.
Trimmed bush.
Oh God, wrong path there, sir. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, again, we're a light beer drinking town. I mean, we put on this cream ale and it flies off the shelves. We put on our American wheat, it flies off the shelves. It's anything light, and it's one of those things where like once those are gone, they're like, what's your next lightest thing? So I could brew light beers all day long, I guess, really. Blondes, wheats, whatever else. And
so when you guys, and we asked Sean this too at Copacetic, because very similar town feel, very small town, light beer drinkers. What percentage of people will come in and say, can I get a Bud Light or a Budweiser or something like that? And is it something that you can push people to, like a local, like one of yours?
We try. We don't get that. We get more of the idea that's like what's closest to Bud Light or Busch Light or that kind of thing.
Ooh, that's really sour.
I'm not sure how I feel about this. These faces you're making on this beer.
It's not bad, but it's very sour.
It's tart, dude.
The Bananas Foster smoothie sour, right?
Yeah.
That is some fucking sour. That was like not
I do
quite
get the banana
Warhead. Oh yeah, you get the banana. It's like a sour banana,
Well,
but
so
like not in a negative way. Like that's a good beer, but I was not expecting that much sourness based on the mango.
Yeah.
That I had.
So,
And based
if
on
you
it
remember,
being
I mentioned
banana.
that there's sour VC yeast and Philly sour yeast. This is a sour VC yeast, and I think I'm gonna go back to it because it stands out a lot. It's tart as shit, though.
I think the Philly yeast makes things a little sweeter.
Yeah.
And I want to be, if I'm going to be drinking a sour personally, I want to be punched in the mouth. Like this.
One and done.
This is fantastic because it does. It hits like the cheekbones and shit, but also it reminds me of like a Laffy Taffy if it was a sour banana Laffy
There
Taffy.
you
I
go.
literally had that same thought. Was a sour banana Laffy Taffy.
Like a Warhead banana Laffy
Not
Taffy.
quite as sour as a Warhead, but
And a
like you made a
toxic
banana
knockoff of
sour,
Warheads.
but it's actually good. Like this doesn't even fucking make sense.
It's also a thick mouthfeel. And
How
it looks
can a
like
banana be sour?
Well, you guys said the mango wasn't thick enough for you, so I thickened her up for you, the banana. So, yeah, it's fucking weird, ain't it?
Okay, so
it honestly it is. Like
It's
it's kind of
fucking
a
weird.
mind fuck of like
Yeah, this is what I should have sent you guys. I would have fucked your brains out. It's been
did
fun.
you put real bananas in?
Banana puree.
Oh, okay, not
Yeah.
like squish that shit up in there.
I paid someone else to do that.
So
Like,
what is for dumbasses like us who don't brew?
Yeah.
What is the massive difference between puree and using the real thing? Like
Is that
and I know like what it would be like obviously when you got to clean the tanks and shit,
Yeah.
completely different scenario, but I guess taste profile wise, like is there any sort of difference if you were to use a fuck ton of bananas versus pureed bananas?
I mean, other than peeling those motherfuckers?
Yeah, I think it's work. I think it's a big
like
thing.
a lot more work.
I don't know, man. Like, so before I started doing this, I had never used puree. I had used frozen Walmart bags of fruit as a home brewer. It won me awards at State Fair. It's what I've done. It worked for me. Okay. When I went into Walmart here and said, "Hey, man, I'm about to do a raspberry blackberry smooth or normal sour," before I was doing smoothies.
He said the word. Said the magic word.
Raspberry
can't
blackberry
fuck up a
or
Just
raspberry beer.
raspberry.
yeah.
That is the slogan of ours. You cannot fuck up a raspberry
No,
beer.
dude. So
At least you better not.
backstory here: the high school here is the Logansport Berries. Okay. Logansport Berries. Their unofficial mascot is Felix the cat.
God, it's like the Speedway spark plugs.
Oh, dude, it's rough, right?
Do the berries hang off the back of the cat or what?
I'm not sure, but so there is a Loganberry plant, and it
Okay,
is
that
a
makes
hybrid
sense
plant
then.
between blackberry and raspberry.
Why wouldn't you just be the Loganberries? The Logansport Loganberries.
You're tasking me. I don't know. I don't go to school here. But so when we opened, we brewed what was called Double Felix, and it was a blackberry,
That's
raspberry.
fucking smart.
Loganberry-ish smoothies, or not smoothies. I keep
I
on
feel
smoothies.
like it should have been
Normal sour.
Loganberry sour. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah. Well, okay. Google where to find Loganberry. It's like syrup at the Starbucks, and that's about it.
They'll hook you up, man.
Yeah.
For like $600, they'll hook you up.
Well, I mean, with how much puree was in that batch, not far off. So I went to the Walmart, and I was like, "Hey, man, due to my math calculations, I need 240 pounds of raspberry and 240 pounds of blackberry. And he's like, you want that frozen? I'm like, yeah, 1 pound bags. And he goes, ha, good one. I'm like, no, I'm not joking. He's like, that's not happening, dude. He's like, I can order you 13 1 pound bags right now of raspberry, and that's about it. And I was like, okay.
Next time, let me know. I live in Fishers. I'll hook you up.
Yeah, I'm like, what do I do here? So
Fishers gets everything.
I got on and found Fierce Fruit online, and I was like, well, guess we're going to do puree. And I put it in. I feel like it gives it, there's no opaque sours with purees. It's always cloudy. The traditional fruit, I think you can get that opaque, like, beer look with color. You know, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
You don't get that in the purees. I think it's always cloudy. And when I transferred that beer, I feel like some of the fruit got transferred to the bright tank, so it was kind of, it was not smoothie, but it was kind of thicker than your typical sour, and people loved it.
One might say a slushy.
Yeah, no, not that, not that far, but like it was just thicker than our normal beers, I guess you'd say. And so then I never went back from puree because it's just so easy to buy 44-pound bags of it and dump it in.
No,
So,
I mean that makes a lot of sense because we've kind of always have heard this of you got the real stuff, you got the puree kind of stuff, and then you got whatever the fake shit is.
right.
It seems like maybe the fake shit is kind of on the way out
Yeah.
because we just don't really feel like we taste a lot of fake kind of fruit or peanut butter or stuff like that anymore. But like I remember we talked to Guardian up in Muncie one time, and they were like, "Yeah, we made what was like a pumpkin pie beer, and they literally threw pumpkin pies into the thing, and they're like, that was the worst idea ever.
Oh man,
It made a fantastic beer, but it was like the worst thing to clean.
Even the king cakes here, when like we put them in the mash, because when I did it in the boil one time, like it covered the elements, and like it was like burning the king cake in the beer as it was boiled. So like,
oh no,
yeah, I was like, well, that's not what I want. Like, you know, and so yeah, so it's weird. I mean, there's the problem with the I want to say fake flavors because they really pop on some aspects. I just want to make sure that it tastes like that. It can smell and have a flavor, but I want it to make it so when you drink it, you're like, okay, that's banana baby food, and that's where it's at.
Ah, so, God, that is a great example. It's sour banana baby food.
Yeah, man.
Which sounds terrible, but I still cannot grasp how you took banana, made it sour, and made it taste good. I fucking love banana. I eat anything banana runts, banana Laffy Taffy. I'm that weird guy who loves banana. This makes absolutely no fucking sense to me, and I love every bit of it.
Hey, that's what matters.
I don't think it meets banana Fosters, but if you were just like, here's a banana sour, I'd be like, that doesn't make any sense.
So,
oh my God.
This is kind of, I mean, because now you've had both of our Mardi Gras releases, that and then Life of the Mardi. When I originally brewed Life of the Mardi, it was a homebrew batch. My wife hates stouts. She's now appreciating. She hates them. I was like, oh, I'm going to brew this again. And she's like, well, why don't you brew me something? And she came up with this idea of Bananas Foster. Now, there's more stuff in that than banana that doesn't stand out because I went too light. There's a ton of caramel syrup, still went too light. There's cinnamon that I went too light on. And then there's rum extract, which honestly, I'd rather not use it. But because of like the burning of Bananas Foster, I wanted to try it. All three of those do not stand out in that beer to me. The caramel syrup, maybe, but really not. So next year, I'm going to go heavier on it and try to hope it shows up to get to those caramelized banana flavors that you're going to have in your Bananas Foster. So it was really all her idea, and it was kind of like one of those things where like I told her no way too many times, and then we released it, and it sold better than Life of the Mardi.
and she was like, ha-ha! I told
you so. Yeah.
My kid says that now.
Yeah.
He's 4, and he says, I told you. And I was like, shut up.
Yep.
Shut up, Roman.
I get that a lot. So, people loved it here. It was stupid. And it was one of the things where, like, you're right. Not everyone likes bananas. I love the banana, like, artificial, like, the runts and the Laffy Taffies. I hate the texture of bananas.
Oh.
Hate it. I've eaten one bite of banana in, like, probably 12 years.
I eat a banana every day.
I ate a banana literally right before we came up here.
Nope. No, thank you. And my only banana I have eaten, one bite of, I was in St. Lucia, like the West Indy Island, the spring break, and we were at a banana farm, and they were like, oh, eat one of our bananas. And I was like, I'm not going to tell you no. So took 2 bites and handed it to my wife, and she ate the rest. It's not for me. I love the texture of that. I love the flavor of that. I just need it to be more bananas Foster and less banana sour. So
I mean, you could go best of both worlds because if you got enough people who like
Gonna
that.
have to split batch.
So
man.
now, split batch it because now you got the people who could like that, and then you got the other people who could be like, ooh.
No, I'm glad I was able to, because I'm going to send some growlers with myself. Well, I'm taking growlers with me tomorrow to that event in Westfield at Grand Junction. And I was like, I need to taste it before I did. So I'm glad it was brought up that you wanted to try it. So
What the hell? What's the event tomorrow?
Rock the Junction.
Okay, yeah.
At Grand Junction. So I'm hoping it doesn't rain.
It's going to. It's my kid's birthday party tomorrow, but it's definitely going to rain. So we've got this Burial sweaty ass beer over here.
Sweating like a
Sweating
sweating
like a
worse than
pig.
we are, probably.
It is sweating worse than us now. We open the door, turn on a fan.
I will say it is much cooler in here. After
It is
that.
15% ABV. I can't see what it is, so
It is
Oh, sorry.
You're good. Imperial stout with macaroon coconut, Tahitian vanilla, and marshmallow cream.
okay.
So, and it's called Fantastical Aspirations of Non-Such. Again, with the sentence names, boy.
So obviously we're probably thinking Almond Joy.
I don't think it's gonna go that fake with Burial. It might, but
I just think coconut and vanilla.
That's
Usually kind of what we
that's
get.
an interesting push on that. I like the push on that, but that's an interesting. Yeah.
I just kind of feel like that's usually about what we get with coconut and vanilla is somewhat of an Almond Joy-ish.
you didn't even get yourself a clean glass.
Me?
Yeah,
I mean, my beer underneath what's it called is.
a stout under stout.
I have to clean all these glasses when you guys leave here, so no, I was not gonna get.
Just throw them out. Nobody will know.
I'm just gonna put them in the sink. They'll never listen to this episode. They're going all in the sink.
So if for some reason you didn't listen to the actual interview, Burial is out of North Carolina. Asheville
is the original location, and they have at least 3 or 4 locations now total.
Yeah, dude, I'm gonna be honest. After I just sipped on that, I kind of hate your idea of Almond Joy because I think that's all I'm tasting.
That's just I love a good Almond Joy,
It's
dude,
thick,
and
it's
B,
boozy.
the amount of
Love me some Almond Joy.
It's a
the amount of
boozy Almond
times
Joy.
that we've had them and we're like, oh, this
Well,
just tastes like an Almond Joy. Like,
so-
it's not a bad thing. I feel like if you're going to make a coconut-inspired Imperial Stout, Almond Joy is like the closest thing you could get.
Didn't we wasn't Savoy Truffle coconut,
Mm-hmm.
and we called it a classy Almond Joy?
a classy
Yeah.
Almond Joy.
Dude, I'm
Yep.
telling you.
Oh, fuck, that is good.
Dude, it's so good.
Holy shit.
This is close to Savoy Truffle as far as quality, and
God, would this pass?
it'd be close.
Does this pass Ghost Champ?
As far as the ones we're going to rate, no, because we're not going to.
Well, we're not going to rate it, but I mean, let's just be honest with ourselves. We've
Yeah,
said
it would.
Savoy Truffle would immediately pass Ghost Champ. I think it might.
I think this is second to Savoy
God
Truffle.
damn, that's good.
Because
Good.
there was something special about
But-
Savoy Truffle that just something about the chocolate flavor in it felt like raisins. Like
Oh, yeah.
eating a raisin, that like thick,
Yeah.
like rich chocolate.
Who is that from?
Social
Project. They're
Okay.
out of Bentonville.
Arkansas?
Yeah, dude,
Shut up, for real.
up here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did you
Way
get it
fucking
locally or did you have to go find
No,
it?
I was in Bentonville. So
What the hell are you doing in Bentonville?
mountain biking.
Walmart.
Mountain bike capital of the USA.
Okay.
300 miles of mountain bike trails.
Okay.
But we went there. I was talking.
And banging craft beer. I would never
one,
guess that.
One brewery that was
One.
banging. Like there's
Did you go to multiple or is that the only
there's
one
a
you went to?
lot of craft breweries there.
Okay.
One that was like on side project level.
I need to get me some side project.
But so I was sitting there talking to the bartender, asking a lot of like asshole questions
Yeah,
about
yeah.
the beer, and she was like, and then this dude walks up, and I was like, maybe I'll ask him. And I asked him a question, and he answered it like super educated, and I was like, oh, holy shit, you're really smart. Okay, cool. So we got to talking more, and there was 2 beers on the wall that they were like, these are member beers only. Like,
Yeah.
you can't drink them. And I was like, that is fucking bullshit because
That's
I
what I
don't live
want.
here and
Yeah.
I want to drink that beer.
Yeah.
One was called Nash Vegas or something like
Okay.
that. And it was like a peanut cluster beer
Okay.
that had peanut, marshmallow,
Oh, what the hell was that? It's the
Viva Nash Vegas or something
We
like
looked
that.
it up. It was a Nashville peanut cluster.
Yeah.
Oh man, we're not gonna remember
But
it now.
so
It's like a really well-known candy that we looked up. And we're like, oh yeah, we're real dumb.
Like maple buns like thing.
it's like a clustery candy.
It's like a nut.
It's
cluster
Nashville's #1 like chocolate candy or something like that. Nashville,
yeah,
Indiana.
Nashville, Tennessee.
Or Nashville, Tennessee. Sorry.
Like when you see it, you'll be like, oh yeah, I know exactly what that. Everybody in this
Is
fucking
it
world knows
Go
what they're.
or like?
Oh yeah, Go Goo Goo
Go.
Nut
World.
Cluster, Go Nut Cluster.
I'll look into this. Is it Viva Las Nashville?
So it's like Nash Vegas or something like that.
Vegas.
But if you look up like chocolate in Nashville, it'll fucking pull it up. But I was talking to him and I was like, who do I gotta blow to get a fucking pour of that? He's like,
It's a social project.
yeah.
A Goo Goo Cluster. I had the Goo Goo part right.
Damn, it's 4.39 on here too.
And
All their stuff is pretty high.
yeah. But so I was like, I want to try it. How do I get some? And he's like, oh man, I can't. And then we started talking to him more, and I said, hey, I'm in town to mountain bike. I run a podcast. I work for Untap, blah, blah, blah. And the other bartender was like, I'm going to get you some. She walked up and poured some. And I said, man, why do I taste banana or clove in here? And he's like, you're the only fucking person that I've had taste this. Because he heard it out of the corner of his, like, as he was on the side, and he's like, how the fuck did you pull that? I was like,
Does it have Hefeweizen?
No, it was some, like, barrel they used that had some weird banana in it. And he's like, nobody else has talked about that. I was like, yeah, I can literally pull banana out of this. And he was like, okay, I have a beer that we don't release to anybody unless you're in the membership.
Yeah.
We'll sell you one if you want to talk about it on the podcast. And I was like, fuck yeah. So he brought out Savoy Truffle and was like, yeah, I'm gonna bring this home.
Oh, I love that.
Awesome beer, awesome brewery. So if you get a chance to, get to Arkansas,
Get the freaking Arkansas.
go to some Arkansas.
Yeah.
It's worth it. Social Project's the shit. I'm trying to get Matt and I to be, or one of us to be, a member so that we can technically buy the beers and get them shipped here. So if you're listening to this episode,
they got some
Chris,
good reviews on it too.
So here's a question for you.
They're
This is damn good. You are a massive fan of Burial.
massive.
How do you replicate this?
Oh, I don't know. That's why I'm such a big fan of Burial. And this one is interesting because this one I feel like has got some carbonation to it.
this is heat too.
It's got
It's
carb.
warm.
It's warm, but it also, you can literally taste everything. I think that's the biggest thing is
that is my biggest thing.
the marshmallow cream. Like, I don't feel like you really, when someone's like, here's marshmallow, you're like,
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
where is it? In this one, you're like, oh,
So-
there it is. I get that.
So again, going back to when you guys did the Life of the Marty,
Look at that carbonation, man.
I hate boozy non-carbonated stouts. Like I love them and I hate them. It's a love-hate relationship always, especially with these guys. I'm like, I wish you had. 15%. You're not gonna get it carbonated.
This
Like,
is
it's
fucking
gonna be
highly
strong,
carbonated.
but this one's way carbonated. Normally they're very syrupy, but the reason why I love them so much is I put up with the syrupy is the idea that everything they put in it you taste almost every time. And these bottles are $18-20 a piece or whatever they are. Every time I buy one, like, it's stupid. They did a Dissolver is another brewery in Asheville that I fucking
Dissolver
love.
makes good shit.
They make some weird shit, and it's just like, oh, love it. And if you ever get a chance to go down there, when you go in, you're in the brew room. Like,
Yep.
like they just have a little bit of barrier that's like, it's like right there's the tanks, and you're just like a little barrier that you could like touch the tanks if you wanted to. It's very clear that when they have to can and bottle, they move all the tables out of the way and they roll their canner out in the middle of the open and they do it right there. Like, it's very clear they do that. It had potato chips in it. I was like, okay, you got me. $20 bottle. Send it to my boy in Dayton. He'll deliver it to me in Fort Wayne. No shot. I'm gonna taste salty potato chips. Shit you not. It may be my favorite one that they ever brewed because literally everything in it it bangs. It's stupid. But that's why, like, for me, again, these are hella good, but I can only drink a flight pour of this before. These are share bottles for me. Like,
yeah.
I buy them to bring them to these kind of things. Like, honestly, if I would have had time to go home between, I would have brought more of different things to share. But it's like, these are share bottles for me. And that's why, because it's just too thick and not super ramped up. You know what I mean? But the flavors are all there every time.
So what do you think that you as a brewer would be missing from being able to, I guess, replicate this style?
Oh, man, I don't know.
Because, I asked, like, how do you replicate it? And you're like, almost like I don't. But, like, you're a brewer, and it's all the same thing.
I think more than anything, it's just knowing what it takes of those. I mean, when you look at some of these things like this macaroon coconut and Tahitian, like vanilla is pretty easy. Like it's you can kind of learn how, like, you want to either heavy vanilla or light vanilla is your choice on that. The marshmallow cream, how they didn't let that ferment out so that flavor's still there is wild. To me, if I'm being honest, I feel like it might be a little bit of the vanilla helping me get that flavor.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I think that comes off a little bit like marshmallow. But it's one of those things where it's like just knowing what we're going to put, how much you're going to put in and what you're going to put in. And that's what is learning. I mean, like, I was trying to look it up on my phone while we were talking, like, the bottles that I currently have at home.
I've had a dissolver beer.
Yeah,
I was trying to find it because I was like, I've only had one. We've had, like, random shit at their tap room.
Yeah.
But we stopped in right before they closed, so we got a flight and then picked up a bottle, and we had Definitely Aliens, which is an Imperial Double Stout. To kick off our anniversary week, please welcome Definitely Aliens. Remember, most likely aliens. Well, we put that baby in a bourbon barrel for 12 months, and just wowza, it's good. To remind you, this one is chock full of cocoa nibs and husks, poblano peppers, vanilla beans, cinnamon, and nutmeg. It was crazy good. We drank it with some awesome over the open fire steaks.
Love that. I had, and I still have some. And it would have been one of the cans I would have brought today if I would have really went home. They do a fill thy hole series, and sometimes most of the time it's cake. And I had it was fill thy space hole, and it was astronaut ice cream sandwiches. Dude, like I'm tasting the wafer and the vanilla and all that crap in that, and I'm like, what in God's name? Why am I even doing this? Like, but I just bought the German chocolate cake version of theirs and had it picked up for me.
Have you been to their brewery?
Yes.
It's the one that you walked. Yeah, but it's super strange,
dude. It's so weird, and
it's loud as fuck.
Always loud. Their outdoor section is like 3 chairs.
Yeah. So when we were there, we sat outside.
Yeah.
And it's like, is this an alley? Like, what is happening?
Yeah. There's like that staircase, like it goes up, and you're like, where's that staircase go? Like, people just walk down here, but. No, I love it. If I could move to Asheville tomorrow, I would. I love the city.
We were talking about
the food, the breweries, the atmosphere, everything.
I can't do I couldn't do Logansport, too small.
No,
but Asheville's small, but in a different way.
It doesn't feel small.
Yeah,
it's small in a population wise, but not in what's happening.
Well, it's touristy. There's fucking 100 breweries.
Yeah, for sure. You're still pondering this beer, aren't you? You can see it in your face. You're just like...
It's just so good. And, like, I'm trying to come up with questions, and I don't ever want it to come off as disrespectful. I ask questions.
On my end or on the burial's end?
Well, on your end. Because, I'm asking you things of, like, well, how do you get your beer to here and stuff like that? And, like, I don't want it to seem like that's a disrespectful question because it's more of a you also... Like,
well, burial's
like
been
this
around
seems to
10
be
fucking years.
Well, right, but in a way of like this seems to be like the brewery that you look up to.
Absolutely,
so, like,
100%.
You know, like when people are like directors or artists or something, they always look up to someone. It's like, well, how do you kind of get to that? What does it take to get to?
That's what you do.
That was going to be the other thing. Is
dude, you talk about full erection.
Hashtag
I'm
burial.
talking like straight up and down, dude. Oh my God.
We'll tag burial, and if we get
please do.
If we get you a collab beer,
please do.
Well, let me ask it this way: like, so I'll say this: this beer, mouthfeel, taste, aroma, appearance.
Yeah.
It honestly, it's like a 10 out of 10. Like for
Love
what
that.
we would be expecting out of something,
Yeah.
it just hits every note.
Right.
And that's why I'm like so entranced with it, because a lot of what we've had of just, there's always something missing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just one or two little things, and we're just like, man, like, and when we talked about Life of Marty, it was this beer has got a lot, it's got a high fucking ceiling.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's at the floor, and it's not like a low floor.
Yeah, I got you.
Sports terminology, folks.
Yeah,
and
no, I
I'm
got you.
butchering it, but like, it's got this high ceiling.
Yeah, as room to grow.
Yeah. So how do, like, as a brewer, how do you get to that? Or, and obviously, like you've said, it's our opinion, but like,
No, you like what you like. There's a reason why you like what you like.
yeah,
That's the same thing. Like, I'm not sure how you guys feel, but there's probably restaurants you go to where you've never eaten anything but the same thing.
it's a whole
Right?
fucking time.
Am I correct?
Yeah.
Like, there's a restaurant that's way, and that's how it is sometimes with beer. When you go to certain breweries, you're gonna pick. It might not be what it is. If I walk into Burial today, we got in the car and we were fucking hauling ass down there for this weekend. It's gonna be.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
It'll be glorious. Let's make it happen.
I was gonna say, I'll be driving that way in next month.
I'd get shot.
When next month?
When do we leave? The 16th. So we go to South Carolina every year.
Okay.
And we drive through Asheville to get
When you
there.
coming back through? Because I'm gonna be in Asheville that next week.
We are
You going for a week? You going for a weekend?
Yeah, God, fuck no. We don't go for a weekend. We're on a 12-hour drive. We go for an entire week. It's like,
Yeah, that's my problem.
that's
You go-
way too much of a drive. Like
It's
the
stupid.
16th,
Asheville's only 8 hours. You're good.
June 16th, I think,
23rd.
to the 23rd. So we're in Folly Beach, South Carolina. Have you ever had Edmund's Oast?
No.
God damn it. One of these days I'll meet somebody who's actually had it. That's
No.
not like
I was gonna say
him.
I have, but
Yeah, but like we haven't had a chance to talk about it, and I want a brewer's opinion.
Where's it at?
It's out of South Carolina. It's
Okay.
out of Charleston-ish area.
Well, so I've heard Charleston's beer game is fucking killer. So I need to get down that way.
I will say this, and everyone has heard me say this. Edmund's Oast is the #1 brewery in my mind
In South Carolina or overall?
overall, from what I've personally had.
Start looking at a flight to Charleston if that's how
So
you feel.
here's the thing, like, remember how I said, like, if you make a mild ale,
Yeah.
you're gonna nail it. First thing I ever had from them was a mild ale, and I'm like, holy fuck, like this is
Yeah.
good. Like,
Yeah.
not just like this is good, but like, why is this so?
yep.
And this was a year after the brewery had like been established.
Okay.
So they make like a bunch of sours, but they're not smoothie style. They're just kind of regular
Yeah, yeah.
sours. They do IPAs. They
Yeah.
do stouts. They do barley wines. And honestly, they don't miss.
Can I don't want to interrupt your
No,
story
you're
here.
good.
Can I ask you the barley wine issue that you have now that we're off the
Yeah.
main episode?
Oh yeah.
Because I haven't come across
it's pretty
it.
easy.
If it's in an episode, I have not come across that yet. So
Well, so we haven't had a barley wine on
On air.
air yet. But my issue with it is American barley wines are way too fucking hopped.
okay.
I do not like how much hops come through it.
Okay.
I love an English barley
We
wine.
are
Okay.
English barley wine people.
English barley wine is my #1 favorite beer style in
Love that.
all of beer styles.
Okay.
And I do lean more English towards basically any of the styles because I just kind of like the purity of it all.
Yeah.
And
I mean, there's a reason why beer started over there, right?
yeah.
Like there's always like that same thing, like with this beer, this is always what I'm shooting for. You got to drink the greats to be with the greats kind of thing. So it's the same thing with English stuff. Like there's a reason why all of our beer styles have come from somewhere else. There's not really, I mean, we're not breaking ground over here in the beer styles.
Yeah.
Until
we're
you
just
add
doing
fruit.
I mean,
crazy
they also
shit to
got,
'em.
several
Yeah.
hundred years of brewing
So-
before we even existed. But I mean, that's really it. Like,
Okay.
I kind of run into that. So, like, when you told me it was an American porter, I was like, wait a minute, what? Because it doesn't taste like that. And
Yeah,
you were
yeah.
kind of right. Like, I wouldn't, like, if you had sent that to us and you said, hey, it's an American porter, review it, my first thing would be like, I don't fucking taste any hops.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I've ever had a hoppy porter. I
If
don't
you've
know
had
if-
anything from Three Floyds, you have.
I mean,
And-
that's
and,
true, but I don't know if I've actually ever had a porter.
That's kind of my thing too, and that's why, after listening to what you guys did with the BJ, like we went through the guidelines and stuff. That's where I'm the most critical about my beers. Like when I brew a traditional American wheat, the Irish Red, or the Mexican Lager, or the Porter, like I like 88% of the time hate them, and then I give it to somebody. I tasted that porter yesterday at Rough Draft Taproom when they tapped it in Fort Wayne, or today, and I was like, ooh, I don't like this, I don't like that. And then you drink it today, and you're like, oh, I fucking love this beer, and I'm like, fuck, like, what am I missing? What am I missing as who I am? But when it comes down,
you're also critical of yourself.
oh, for sure, I'm the most critical person.
Literally, if anybody else were as critical of us as we are of us, we would fucking never talk to them again.
Right,
But there's also this, and I used to do a bunch of writing before we did this, and it even happens now. Whenever you think something is the worst, it's always the best.
Yeah, for sure.
Every single, and it's like it must be some sort of creative paradigm that I don't understand.
Yeah, the worst podcasts do the best.
Yeah,
Like,
we're in, and then you sit there and you're like, I don't fucking like, what is it about this that people liked? Because I don't understand why is this so popular. Like, because when I was a writer, I would sit and spend hours and hours on something that I really liked, and it just wouldn't hit. And then you throw something together in 20 minutes, and you're like,
every time, man.
Why is 40,000 people read this? I don't understand. Like, I didn't put any effort into it, and it's almost like this block. It just allows you to have this freedom that you don't understand.
I get that.
But
and I think that's
also sucks.
Yeah, it's one of those things too. Like, I'm hype about these stouts and the smoothie sours and the more stuff, and then I release a cream ale, and it's like you look around the bar room and you're like, there's 28 glasses of cream ale out here, and there's one smoothie sour. Like, I spent all that time learning how this was gonna work, and the cream ale I just threw yeast at it. You know what I mean? It's like,
so. I guess as a brewer, how do you decide to just not brew towards your audience? Because obviously in Logansport, you're gonna have a pretty specific audience for the moment because you're the only one here, right?
yeah, right.
So like until you basically train them, to like other things, how does that? How do you get around that feeling of I'm putting all this effort into all these other beers and it's not working because all you're coming in is drinking my light stuff?
I think so. We were lucky enough. There's an arcade bar across the street, and honestly, if we would have got together earlier and I wasn't running late, and we're not here till 11:20 at night, we would have went over there. It's a craft beer arcade, what it is. So he sells a lot of Indiana craft beer, and it's always banging. And it opened right before us. I was trying to think where I was going with this. It opened right before us. So I went over there every night before I left here just to see what's on tap, see what people were drinking, And it was one of those things where it was like, okay, it's clear that IPAs and light stuff is going to work here. But it's not exciting. You know what I mean? It's not like when I brew a good IPA and it's bitter and it's right where it needs to be and it's clean, like it's an enjoyment. I get excited. But like a cream ale, I'm like, oh, okay, you know what it is. So I want to say I'm about 50-50. I try to make sure that I'm brewing 50% of what I think this town will drink, and 50% that I'm like, please let me educate you on any. And I don't want to say educate; it's kind of a terrible word to think about, but like, let me
expand your knowledge.
Yeah, let me share with you this. So we did a saison, and I'm gonna put it in the brewer's cup, and I hope it proves me right. It to me it banged. It was the most perfect mix of the saison, French and Belgian saison. It's not gonna fall in a category very well, but the good news is saison at Brewers Cup is just saison. It's French and Belgian, so it's not like it's across the board. I was like, this is another light ale. Let's introduce this light ale. It's gonna be different, but let me introduce it. We sold a whole whopping like none. Like we sold some, but like to the festival one time, it was the first beer gone. It was the first beer that we got emails about or texts about saying, do you guys have this in cans, whatever else? And the owner was like, why is this not selling in the tap room? It's unique. It's not that typical beery beer. You know what I'm saying?
What if you called it something else? People would probably have ordered it too.
So then I was like, well, we should call it like a Belgian light ale or like something different instead of a saison, And that's why I was like, I'm going to submit it into the Brewers Cup. And if it places, then I'm going to say, hey, this is an award-winning beer. Now you got to drink it, It is like that. I'm like, but at the end of the day, as a brewery, I'm no longer a home brewer. I have to make money. I can't just brew things that I'm going to drink in my garage like I have been in the past. So it's like a 50-50 thing. The sours have hit off really well here. But like the Belgian stuff's not going to hit. Like the Imperial Stouts are very slow, but they like the flavors. But it's mainly IPAs, cream ale, American wheat, light lagers. Really, our lagers go over really well here, all of them. Like Mexican lager, the Marzen for Oktoberfest, like all those went really well. So I think we're about 50-50 for me.
So this is something I've never thought about asking before. What would happen if you took like 24 of those bottles and poured them in and then to a fucking like fermenter and you just brewed a beer on top of it?
Oh, I have no idea. Yeah, that's an interesting thought. So
I'm
a majority of the sugar is probably gone.
How do you make this beer like yours? You pour
Yeah.
that fucking beer into.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. Like,
yeah, that's an interesting thought. I've never thought about that. I mean, I think that's one of those things where like my beer shelves at home are stupid. Like my wife hates them. She's like, you have an addiction of buying beer and not drinking it. That's where it's at. But it's one of those things where I buy all these beer because like what they say or they're doing in it, and when I finally get around to drinking them, like when you look at this and I'm like, okay, Imperial Sour with this Coke, like when you said I'm gonna enjoy, I looked at this again and was like, oh, okay. And I tasted it and I was like, fuck, like I wish you wouldn't have said that because now that's all I'm tasting, but it's in a good way. You know what I'm saying? So like I try to figure out like how that would all work.
Is it Mounds or Almond Joy?
Yeah, I would say more Mounds, but but that dark chocolate was throwing off too. But
is it Mounds without coconut?
No,
Isn't that the difference?
No
Or is it
almonds.
nuts?
No nuts.
No
Yeah.
almonds.
It's
Okay.
dark chocolate and no nuts.
So yeah, it would be the
They
Mounds
Mounds,
then.
yeah.
Yep. I
I haven't had a Mounds bar. In forever.
yeah. I can't tell you the last
Couldn't
time I
tell you,
ever.
yeah.
I can't tell you the
Even
last
seen a
time I've
Mounds.
seen one.
Yeah.
it's been a minute. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's one of those things that like again, it's if I walked into a brewery in Asheville and there sat the brewer and I know what he looks like because I'm addicted. The brewer of Asheville or brewer of Asheville, brewer of Burial. It would take all I would have not to walk up and like at least be like, dude, whatever you were doing in your head is fucking glorious. Because I love everything they do. But yeah, so it's one of those things that's like, I would say I'm always shooting to be these people that I've looked up to this whole time. And it's just trying to get to that point. So, when you said when they're like, oh, well, it's a little bit thin on the Life of the Marty, I was like, yeah, man, it was. And I was disappointed about that too. And it was like how I instantly, like, that was like a lot of people. Like, I'm not sure, you guys know what Deer Park is in Fort Wayne? The craft beer bar that's, it's stupid. It's stupid how great the craft beer bar is in Fort Wayne. But they do they do a Mardi Gras party, and I'm like, I want it on tap there. So I took them a bottle, and that was one of their things. Like, hey, like, great beer. Here's my, and it was like yours is exact critiques. And I was like, well, I'm glad we're all on the same page.
Maybe we're not dumbasses. Maybe
We're
at
still
some point.
dumbasses.
The
It's
cinnamon
fine.
thing still baffles me. That still baffles me. But the thinness of it, like, but then you had like, Rocky Road tonight. Did you feel like that was still super thin too? Or do you think
not as thin?
So you think we're
Not
getting,
as thick as this, obviously.
no,
but,
yeah,
but not it. It had more of a stout body to it.
okay. Because that was the second Imperial Stout we brewed, the big one.
There was milk sugar in that, right? In that-
There was ice cream.
so that probably plays a little
Yeah.
on body. Milk
Just I just
sugar
need to throw a
tends
bunch of
to
fucking sugar at it.
look. You got a bunch of breweries that make a bunch of stouts and a bunch of fucking sours that all they do is they make these sours and then they milk sugar the fuck out of it
Yeah,
because it makes it thicker. It adds
Yeah.
mouthfeel.
yeah.
But I'm like, how about we try and learn from Humble Forager and make some vegan versions that are actually thick.
Yeah. I feel that. And that was like when I heard that, when you heard that podcast, I listened to you guys and you made that comment. And I instantly messaged you guys. I was like, I have never thought about that. Never. And then it was like, wow, nuts, lactose, like all that stuff. I'm like, why is that not on the menu?
Wait, why aren't we required as a brewery to put that shit? Because
yeah.
if you had like the Nash Vegas beer, for
Yeah,
example,
yeah.
from Social Project, if that didn't have a description, that has peanut butter.
Oh yeah,
That
death
has
to
peanuts,
everybody.
That has fucking
Yeah.
all kinds of shit in it. There's no way that somebody that's allergic to peanuts is going to drink that and not die.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. and I never really thought about that until now. And it was like I had one of our bartenders call me one night, and she's like, "Hey, which one of our beers do not have lactose in it?" I'm like, "Well, all the smoothie sours have it, and that's about it right now. That's on tap." And she was like, "What about the milkshake IPA?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." And then I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, I never put the lactose in the milkshake IPA. And she's like, "What?" I was like, I never put
now
that
it's
in
just
there.
an IPA.
Now it's just a heavily orange fruited IPA, and I'm like, whoa. I'm like, no, she's good on that if she wants to drink that. Like, there's no lactose in that. And I was like, oh,
So it wasn't me. I did come in here that night, and I was like, what doesn't have lactose?
no, it was not you. It was not you. It was someone, because I came in that night, and because I had texted them and said you guys were coming through, and I was like, shake the smoothie sours, do this. Like, these guys are gonna review our beers. I need you to do whatever you need to do to make it better for us.
She looked at me, and I was like, I need 2 of these bottles. 2 of them? I was like, yeah. I mean, we gotta have more than one. Fuck.
Yeah, it's a weird thing here. Like, we sell either 1 or like 12 at a time. I don't know what's happening. One guy walked in and said, "We're playing poker tonight. I need 12 of these bottles." I'm like, "You realize, bro, they're $10 a piece and they're 12.5%." He's like, "Oh, it's a big group." And I'm like, "I sure hope so." Like,
It's just our podcast with 3 people. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Not anymore, but previously. I think it's time to go home.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting late for you guys. You gotta drive.
Nice 2-hour drive. So I had actually joked with the wife that I'll be home at 2 a.m., and that's about where we're looking. So
yeah, I told my wife I was leaving at 10:30, and I still have to make cakes tonight.
shit.
So
We're going to get him in trouble.
no.
I was going to say, we're easy ones to blame. She doesn't know who we are.
She has no idea.
We're dust in the wind.
No, but I do appreciate you guys coming up when, I reached out and come get the bottles and, reviewing it and stuff. And again, like I said, like I was messaging you guys, and then it was one of those, I was driving and texting a thing, and I was gonna say, I think I sent the message to you guys, right? About the things I said.
Yeah, it was kind of a joke on our end because we're like, was it that bad?
No, it wasn't. I mean, obviously,
to be honest, we've had some people reach out before, and they're just like, yeah, you have no idea what you're talking about, and we're like, all right, like,
and again,
it is what it is.
And again, I was like, I after I did it, I was like, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that. Like, I shared both the podcasts at the same time because it was kind of like, mid-range for you guys, and they really liked it on drinking a nerd out. But it was like, it wasn't on purpose at all. I was like, at the end of the day, I'm like, this is you guys are doing this because it's your opinion. Like, you have the right to that, and that's like my big whole thing. And I'm not gonna get political or anything, but like, as long as you're not hurting anybody, like, you have your right to your own opinion. We might disagree, or you might be way left field or right field or whatever you're gonna be. But, like, it's craft beer. Like, you're still drinking craft beer. And regardless if you went on there and said, dude, this doesn't even make top 50. Like, this beer needs to be poured down the drain. You did say our brewery name on there. And worst case scenario, someone came here because, well, we heard your beer is dog awful on this Barrel Chat, podcast episode and blah, blah, blah. No, it's still one of those things where, like, I'm very supportive on the idea that, like, again, you were doing this because of your own personal thing, and you came today and you had beers that I'm not pleased with, and you liked it better than that beer. I'm cool with that, and that's what's gonna happen when it comes down to it. Like, people are gonna be like, oh well, they have a good porter, oh they have a good this. I'm gonna go have that because I don't like imperial stouts. I don't like cinnamon. I don't like whatever that crap was that they had before.
Yeah, just keep making that porter, and I'll just keep sending people.
If you don't like imperial stouts, they can piss off.
Yeah. So
they're not listening to our show if you don't like imperial stouts. That's for damn sure.
Those people like smoothie sours, and they don't listen to us anyway.
Yeah.
There's probably been like 18 imperial stouts since this episode.
But it's one of those things, like, and again, if there's a beer that comes across my plate that I'm like, oh, I fucking love this beer, you're gonna be one of the guys that I reach out and say, hey, let's meet up. Let me get you some bottles. Review this beer.
And that's what we actually love about it is, like, in my friend group outside of here, like, I'm the beer guy. And when I'm like, go try this beer, normally people are like, holy fuck, like, that's good.
Yeah, right.
Like, I had a guy who lives in Michigan bring down M43, and I'm like, you all need to try this. Like, Old Nation M43 is probably the hazy.
Yeah.
Like, in the entire country.
Yeah.
It's shelf hazy.
Especially if it was a couple years ago when they were not who they are now.
Yeah, well, I mean, this was like a year ago, but like nobody had ever really had it.
Yeah.
And I was like, you all need to try this.
Yeah.
And they had that and Boss
'Cause
Tweed, and they were
when
like,
Boss Tweed came out
holy
originally.
fuck.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
was like,
Because
yeah,
what was
like-
weird was like we are so close in Fort Wayne. We're so close to that border that we had people going over the border and getting it before it really hit Indiana. So we were drinking it through friends, and I was like, holy fuck, dude! Like this is fucking banging. And now it's on every shelf in Fort
that
Wayne.
saved that brewery.
Oh, for sure.
That brewery was a very classical brewery.
Yeah.
It was traditional German styles,
Yeah.
traditional pills, like that. And then one day they were like, well, we're not making any fucking money,
Yeah,
so
let's
let's
try
see what
this.
happens.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, well, now we're the hazy
Yeah.
style. And now people try their other shit because
Yeah.
they've tried Boss Tweed, and they've tried
Right.
M43. They've tried strawberry M43.
Yeah, and I think with you guys too, like what I like about like, because again, I'm not, I don't really know about like all that the nerd. It was never thing I never really was into any of that stuff growing up, and so like the old rating system before you went to the top 50, whatever that was, I had no fucking idea. I was like, I don't understand a thing that this is going on, but I want them to rate it. Like whatever this is about, I have no fucking idea what it's about, but like. And then, like, I listened to my episode, I'm like, what is this top 50 stuff? Like, what happened? I missed an episode? They changed it up on me? But it's one of those things where it's like, again, like, you ranked it 30 out of 50. But that's also, in your critiques, we're right there. But it's also not saying that you wouldn't drink it again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I have another bottle.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not where it's like, dude, this is dog awful. There's beers I've had that I've spent a lot of money on that I've drank, and I'm like, fuck.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it was like
Ardent.
I have 3
I was
more
gonna say,
cans.
and even with Arden, I'm like, I pray to God that was just a bad bottle because I don't
Yeah.
understand how you fuck up a saison that bad.
Especially with
Because then when you start, because saison
Yeah.
is my
Transient makes
number
good shit.
2. So you mentioned a saison, I'm like, oh God, why don't you have this saison here right now?
When I go to can that up for Brewers Cup, I'll get you guys some stuff.
Yeah.
So because even if you don't put it on the podcast, even if you just drink it like during one of these episodes or something like that, like it's still like I want to get it's my craft. Like so yeah, of course I'm like, well, I want to be top 5 in that fucking list of your guys', and that's fine. But now you just challenged me to do better. And I'm gonna bring more shit to you that I hope that's be better than what I brought to you before. And it's like one of those things. Like if you're at the top already, there's nowhere to go
yeah.
other than down.
Sorry, Social Project.
Yeah, that's the only way you can go. When you're number 1, 2, you can only
Dude.
go down,
I can only imagine what's going to top social like
dude.
We're gonna have to get Side
I
Project.
mean,
to
it literally is like take this burial beer, and I would easily rank it number 2 in the beers that we've had on the podcast so far in this incarnation. Because otherwise, I think blend is probably 1 or 2. Outside of that, this burial beer like is fucking phenomenal. So take this, turn it into like the most prestigious wine you can think of, back into beer, and give it to someone.
in a super swanky bottle.
Like that
with,
may not
like-
make any sense, but
Yeah.
like that's what drinking that was. It
Yeah.
was not only just perfection in a bottle, but like everything about the bottle itself, the
Yeah, yeah,
labeling,
yeah.
the wax.
Yeah, the wax.
It
I
felt like
opened it.
this very fancy present. It felt like someone gave you a $250
Yeah,
bottle
it
of
was crazy.
wine or $10,000 bottle of wine, but in a beer. And they were like, drink this. And you're just like,
Yeah.
I'm curious how this is going to go. And it's just
Yeah.
like, I don't understand. It honestly reminds me of the banana beer.
Yeah,
Because it's just like, I don't understand how it's this good.
yeah.
Like,
And-
that doesn't make
and
sense.
I think that's the best part about craft beer is that's the beer that I pay $15-$20 for, and I'm like, oh motherfucker, this is a steal. You
$25
Yeah,
was a fucking
you
steal.
I
you
paid
messed
25
up.
for
Yeah,
it.
you
Oh, it
messed
was
up.
like, people
You
would
could
pay
be
way
selling
more.
this for 50. You are an idiot. But I'm very gracious that you sold it for 25 that day. You know what I'm saying? Like those are the beers that I want to be.
That's
you
a
know-
black market, like, $1,000 beer.
Yeah, dude.
That's a
right
guess
then-
because I don't know about black
Yeah.
market prices, but like,
And like,
I mean,
like
$4.50 went for $88 a 4-pack. So
That's so
Jesus
dumb.
Christ.
have you had Pliny or Hetty Topper?
Yes,
Yeah,
we've had
them both.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
We've
have
had
had them both.
Pliny the younger and the elder.
Yeah, so when I had Pliny the Elder the first time, I was like, why isn't all American IPAs this way? Like, what has happened to the American IPA game that's not like this? But then the other time, I'm like, this is such an old style beer that I'm like, I'm not that excited about it anymore. It was great, loved it, but I'm like, where are we at in craft beer now today that this is not the game? You know?
So I just wanted to see what Savoy Truffle was sitting at on Untapped right now. And out of basically 90 people plus us that have checked it in, it is 4.59.
Damn.
And
That's your number one beer on the list right now?
That's
as
our
far
number
as-
one. Just, I
we-
mean, that's
we
our
don't
number
even- we
one
haven't
on
rated it. But as far as like,
yeah, technically we just drank that. We did kind of like
that's
this.
what is the number? What's the highest ranked beer on the list right now?
Ghost Chant from
Foreign Local.
Foreign Local. It's
What was that?
It's an Imperial Berliner, a heavily fruited Berliner.
It's like
that's made
blackberry,
with a meadery.
raspberry.
Okay, so honey, blackberry. Okay,
It was
banging.
Yeah.
it was just one of those beers. Literally, just we had it and we're like, I don't understand why it's this
So good. Yeah.
Like,
No.
and then I went to their brewery.
Oh, you did.
Yeah, they're just up north in Hammond, and yeah, didn't even know they were local. So like the idea of being foreign local
So
was hilarious.
There's the bottle there. Just like the simplicity of it.
So that's Savoy.
Yeah.
But it's sparkly wax on the top.
Yeah,
So
okay.
like metallic blue.
Yeah. I love that.
So foreign local is just up in Hammond. I guess. What'd you say they were in the old?
Old
Sour
sour
note?
note brewery.
Oh, I might have just met that guy this weekend at Hopler. I'm trying
Probably.
to think that was who was over there.
So I went up there with a different buddy, and we stopped on our way to Chicago,
Yeah.
and I had 3 beers. They were all fucking just perfection. Like they had a milkshake.
That'd be a
Hey,
fun
nobody
collab.
makes a milkshake IPA anymore. It feels like. I know you talked about making one.
Yeah.
And theirs
He
was
didn't
just
put the lactose, so it was just an IPA.
It was an IPA.
like theirs was good. They had this like imperial breakfast stout.
Yeah.
that we
Fucking
need to do
like
still.
it was still just one of those where you're just like, I don't understand. Like you're new.
Yeah.
Why does all of this taste
Yeah.
so good?
Yeah, and that's I think what's my big issue where I am at right now is like, I went from 5 to 110 and I'm still learning. Like I haven't had time to brew a batch more than really once, other than like our cream ale. So like we have a breakfast stout called Breakfast on the Moon, and it's my ode to breakfast stout from Founders. Like I that was my first stout I fell in love with.
That's funny. That's Moontown's breakfast, which is like Bright Side of the Moon, I think, or Bright Side
Oh,
of the
nice.
Moon, is a clone, so to say,
Yeah.
of breakfast.
Yeah, it was the first stout I fell in love with, and I was like, I'm gonna drink all this, And so like mine, this last one that we brewed, it was like so espresso almost that was like almost obnoxious, and I was like, fuck, like that's not how I wanted it to be. But it was like still the learning techniques of how do I do what I used to do at 5 gallon. Like it doesn't all. It's not one of those things where it's like 5 times this equals 110. Like go. Like it doesn't work that way. So I'm like really interested in some of these beers that have the extra bullcrap in them. That like where will we be at round 2? Like like one of those like give me a second chance. Like try it now and then come back when I do round 2 and let me know what you think of round 2, because it's like I'm getting into my element and getting into where I need to be. So, but again, I'm forever thankful for the opportunity to be even on the show, to be on the list of beers that you guys reviewed. Again, I'm gonna keep chasing that. Again, I'm gonna keep chasing it. I want the higher up numbers, and you can replace Life of Marty if you have to. Move me up the list. Whatever you got to do. But
I was gonna say that's gonna take a couple years at this rate.
Yeah.
So
whatever we got to do to move my name up the list. If we got to pull Life of Marty out and pull whatever you got to do, whatever. But again, I'm super thankful for that, and I'm super supportive of the idea of what you guys are doing. Gonna get you some more beers in the future to, again, the fancy things bring people here, but the more classical, the porter, the Irish red, the Uno Mas, that's what's gonna keep people here.
Yep.
And that's kind of what my goal is that let's do these hype beers to get people's names and be like, oh, Science Project, oh, this and that. And they get up here and they're like, oh, wait a minute, they have a good porter, they have a good Mexican lager, they have a good Irish red. That's my goal with this whole thing. So, for again, 54 batches in right now. I'm starting to feel like I'm hitting elements that I'm ready for. But we're not done growing. We're not done getting to that element where I want to be at. And so I'm always shooting for that. So very thankful. Glad you guys came up out here today and sat down and hung out here for a long ass time. 6 hours almost? 7 hours, around 5 hours.
It's all right.
Long time.
It's what we love to do. That's why I mean you don't
So-
start a podcast and not want to do this. And
So I got boys in Fort Wayne that if you ever want to meet with them, shoot me a message. I'll get you in touch with them. And
Fort Wayne sounds like a weekend trip,
dude,
that we need to make.
It's getting better, man.
I
The
need
food's
to go
getting
to
better.
Fortlandia.
Fortlandia is. I was there before I came here because I had the tap takeover, and then we had a birthday party. I had to stop and say hi. But they're a small batch brewery, and they're pumping out some really fun stuff, and they're a good lager house, and Fort Wayne craft beer scene is getting better and better and better every day. So for sure, need to check that out.
Sounds good. Well, want to thank you all for tuning in to our very first episode of the Barrel Chat After Dark. You can look for this probably in more interview sessions that we do. So until next time, cheers.
Cheers, guys.